Hi there, I'm Tom Monroe, the Home Inspector. I'm on inspection today way out in the BC wilderness with a house that's totally off the grid. It has a water supply that's powered by a lake or river, and I'm going to get up and try and find that water supply. Before you hire an inspector to inspect your home, ask them if they're fit enough to climb a mountainside to find your water source, because if they're not, you're not going to get the answers you're looking for. I'm going to take you along on this hike. Let me show you what I found and why it is so important to ask that question of your inspector before you hire them. Let me show you. So as I say, I'm up in a beautiful area of British Columbia, totally off the grid. There's the boat that brought me up, and there's the top of the house. So all the water for this house has to be supplied by natural resources, which would be a river and water collection system. I'm up on top of the cliff, way above the house, and I've come up here to find the water tank system that holds the water that supplies this house with its water. Let me show you around. So what we have here is two 1,100 gallon tanks, or 4,000 liters of water for what potentially could be a family living down there. Now, looking inside this one, you can actually see that it's fairly full. It's hard to actually tell, but it's fairly full. It's kind of dirty inside, but there is a filtration system and a UV bulb that will clean the water. These pipes that hang in between, obviously the one right coming down here is the one that comes from the actual water source. It would actually split, fill one tank and then fill another, apparently. Let me take you over there and show you. So theoretically, if that water pipe that's coming down from that water source way up the mountain, I'm going to try and go find it in a minute, just bring all the water down here, it should be pumping both of these full. What I don't like is this dip in the line here, because when you look inside this one, you'll notice there's actually not much water at all. And it's almost totally empty right to the bottom. It's a gorgeous view though. So as I'm following this line up, sorry I'm out of breath, but you'll notice that there's some big gaps underneath the line. Now, obviously I'm in a forest, and these trees up above love to self-shed themselves and drop big branches after they don't have any green leaves. See this tree right above me? It's missing most of its leaves. It's potential that one could fall, crush that line, or kink the line, obviously stopping the water flow to the home below me. One other thing I want to mention, for every 10 feet of fall on a line like this, you actually pick up approximately 1 pound of water pressure. So 1 psi water pressure as water rolls down this mountain to those tanks. So clearly we're going to have a lot of water pressure in those tanks coming down. My concern is it's spring and those water tanks weren't filling. So close I am to the mountains. The mountains are surrounding me. Don't you think this water should still be running, even though we've just had rain about 4 or 5 days ago? So happily, I'm still following this line, and I've come across some water coming down the rocks. It's dripping off, and here it's actually running. So that tells me that there is some water up there somewhere. I'm not chasing a miracle. So I'm up about 500 meters on this line now, and I just below you talked about the gaps below the line being a concern. The reason why is when you run water lines up and over a log like this, something could fall on it, causing it to kink. If you look closely right here, that line is now pinched and it's restricting the flow of water down to those tanks, and that's clearly why there's currently not any water running through. A log broke off from here, fell right across the line due to deterioration in the forest and the forest floor. That's why you should not have gaps under your water line. And when you hire the right inspector who's truly working for you, they will move logs and stumps out of the way to make sure this water line's clean and clear, so you'll have water for your home. So I'm up the line about another 500 feet, still chasing this water pipe. Here has been some damage caused by wildlife. Now I live in British Columbia, where we have lots of cougars, lots of bears. I sure hope I don't find one, but it sure is beautiful out here in the forest. Check out the fungus growing on this tree. Isn't that gorgeous? So after walking probably 2, maybe even 2.5 kilometers through the forest, I have finally found where the top of this water line goes. And you can see that it's got a water barrel there with water running out. The connection's obviously inadequate. Coming out the back side of this barrel is another water line heading to the actual, this river, or this where the water's dammed or something somewhere. But you can see that the water connection clearly wasn't properly fastened. It popped out. Looks like they used some electrical tape to hold it in place. This water, good fresh BC water, definitely good enough for me to drink after hiking that far up a mountain. So the water feed for that barrel is actually coming through these sticks underneath there. You can see the piping there. Comes over to here. See this little green dam that they've built. And the water source is actually coming from right there. It's not much water. And we've tried to dam this area up. If you look through the water, you barely see there's a black pipe with an orange stripe on it. That's a piece of big O piping that's actually letting the water get into that pipe system, down through underneath there, and into the pipe that's down below, down there. See the coverage that's all on top of here. So before I return all the way back down, I tried to connect this water line up to the barrel as best I could with the resources I had. I actually didn't bring my tool belt all the way up here for this hike, but I'm hoping we can start filling those tanks at the bottom after I purge these lines and get some water for those people. See if it actually is working. So after hiking almost 2.5 kilometers up this BC forest over cliffs, stumps, logs, everything in between, I've come to find that this water line was kinked due to something falling on it. There's been damage caused by wildlife. Something's penetrated, some teeth have penetrated that line, maybe a cougar or a bear. It's also at the very top, the water barrel, it wasn't actually connected properly, and they could definitely use a much better connection than I've just left it as. And the water supply itself is very small. This river will dry out, and those 4,000 liter, two 4,000 liter tanks, we're gonna have to do some calculations to see how much water a family of 4 could use through the summer and how much occupancy they'll be up here, whether they're looking to live up here full-time or just part-time as a holiday home. If you have any home-related questions you'd like me to discuss, leave them in the comments below and let's figure them out. I post videos weekly. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, I'm Tom Monroe, the Home Inspector.